The Life of Dwight L. Moody, Chapter 30, being read by Peter John Parisi, also known as Brian Dean. These audios of mine are never copyrighted. Please feel free to make as many copies as you desire to the glory of God. Chapter 30, The Bible Institute for Home and Foreign Missions. A letter is on file at the Women's Department of the institution that intimates Mr. Moody's thought regarding the school. East Northfield, Massachusetts, December 16, 1895. My dear Miss Strong, I want to get my two granddaughters into the women's department the first of the year in 1916. They will be about the same age, and I would be glad to have them room together. I want them to understand how to visit from house to house. You might have their names put down, so that if the building is full at the commencement of the fall term, they will not be crowded out. Their names are Irene Moody, born at Mount Hermon, August 22, 1895, and Emila Moody Fitt, born at East Northfield, December 16th. It is my wish that when they have gotten through the Northfield Seminary, they spend 2 years at the Bible Institute. And as I have taken some interest in the society, I hope you will give my application a favorable consideration. I do not ask for a free scholarship. I only want to make sure to get them in. I should like to have them do some housework. I find it is so much better for the young ladies to care for a house, so if they ever have one of their own, they will know how to look after it. Yours truly, D.L. Moody. I believe we have got to have gapmen, men who are trained to stand between the laity and the ministers, was a common expression of Mr. Moody's. He felt the great need for more lay Christian workers. On the one hand, he found many consecrated men and women ready and anxious to do God's will. And on the other hand, he saw that there was plenty of opportunity for them to go to work if they only had the necessary skill and training. His effort was to solve this problem, and he made urgent appeals for funds wherewith to open a training school. Responses to this appeal came heartily. The money was pledged, the preliminary steps were taken, and the new enterprise was chartered under the name of the Chicago Evangelization Society. On December 31, 1886, Mr. Moody began a 4-month campaign of evangelistic services in Chicago, going from one church to another and utilizing the great roller skating rinks. Every noon, a large meeting was held in Old Farewell Hall, the audience room of the Young Men's Christian Association building, which had been the scene of many former experiences in Mr. Moody's life. Each Monday noon, reports were heard from the various churches and missions. During these 4 months, plans for the training school, as it was then called, were being brought into shape, but unexpected hindrances appeared. At the last noon meeting of his stay, Mr. Moody asked, "How shall this work be carried on when I am gone?" And someone called out, "Get a tent." "All right," said Mr. Moody, "I'll give the first $500. Who's next?" Money was at once raised for the object, and a gospel tent, 80 feet in diameter, was secured and pitched in a district so wicked that it was known as Little Hell. The tent was named by an evangelist with a corps of assistants, Bibles in hand. After a few weeks, the tent was moved elsewhere, and so, summer and winter, the meetings went on, the winter services being held in churches, missions, and theaters, and the summer meetings in the tent. The bar room of a small theater was once used as an inquiry room with beer kegs for seats. Multitudes were brought to Christ from the lowest strata of society, and thus was found one solution of the problem: how shall we reach the masses? Training was given the workers in a series of brief Bible institutes, when excellent Bible teachers expounded the Scriptures and gave practical methods of Christian work. In May 1889, the institute was held in the Chicago Avenue Church, and Mr. Moody found nearly 200 persons present where he had looked for 20. As a result of that conference, the Chicago Bible Institute was formed and formally opened in the fall of that year. Land and buildings adjoining the Chicago Avenue Church were purchased at an outlay of $55,000. The 3 dwellings on LaSalle Avenue, included in the original purchase, were fitted up for the home of the women's department, to which 3 others, costing $36,500, has since been added. In Institute Place, $50,000 was expended in the erection of a 3-story brick building, 100 by 125 feet in dimensions, built about a hollow square having the rare advantage in the heart of a closely built region of light and air on all 4 sides. 2 more stories were added just before the World's Fair at an additional cost of $15,000. This building contains the necessary classrooms, offices, and dormitories for 200 men, with dining hall, kitchen, and laundry. Over $20,000 was spent in furnishing the various departments. The Institute was formally opened with a week's conference beginning September 26, 1889. The Reverend Mr. Torrey, superintendent of the Congregational City Missionary Society of Minneapolis, a graduate of Yale College and Seminary, and who had also studied at the University of Leipsic and Lincoln, was called to the position of superintendent. Students have come to the Institute from all quarters. Till today, there is not a race and but few nations which are not represented on its register. The system embraces a thorough doctrine, analytical, and book study of the English Bible under the tuition of resident instructors. Added to this, lectures are given by the best Bible teachers from both sides of the water on topics to which they have individually given the closest attention. While spiritual exposition is emphasized, all is based upon the most careful and scholarly study of the Word. 2 years of 12-month each are required for the course, but as it proceeds in a circle, students can enter at any time, and by remaining 2 years complete the full course. Mr. Moody always recognized the power of gospel song, and no education for Christian service would be complete in his eyes without it. Hence, a musical department was a necessity. Those gifted in that direction received careful training in the art of singing the gospel, a branch of vocal culture to which special attention is not usually given. The morning hours are spent in the classroom, and the afternoons and evenings are divided between study and practical work among the unconverted. Rescue mission work, house-to-house visitation, children's meetings, women's meetings, jail work, inquiry meeting work, church visitation, every form of effort which can be developed in the heart of a great and wicked city is here supplied. For several years, 2 and 3 large tents have been utilized during the summer, and many street meetings are held. When cold weather approaches, the people interested are gathered into cottage meetings, varying in attendance from 8 to 50. At one time, 35 cottage meetings were being held every week. The result of the first decade's work of the Institute strongly testifies to its success. In this time, several thousand have been in attendance, of which number 202 are in home, city, and rescue missions, 180 in evangelical work as preachers and singers, 38 in educational and philanthropic work, 64 are superintendents of city missions, 268 are pastors, pastors' assistants, and church visitors, 58 are Sunday school missionaries, 25 are Christian Association secretaries, 32 are co-porters, and 186 are foreign missionaries. The institution at present owns land and buildings which exceed $300,000 in value. It is cosmopolitan in character, receiving students of many tribes and nations from beyond our shores and sending out men and women with the message of the gospel to all lands. The Bible Institute has been called the West Point of Christian work and endeavors to embody all the principles which characterize successful Christian workers. Study and work go hand in hand. Mr. Moody's desire to place deserving students in training for a Christian effort both in Chicago and Northfield, and at the same time give consecrated men and women of wealth an opportunity to share in this work, is seen from the following letters sent to trusted friends in New York. My dear, can or will you and your wife take one student each in our schools out here for $18.91? It will only cost $150 each, and they can report to you every 30 days how they are doing. I have found a good many who have gone through college or seminary, found especially ladies who have no money, for they have spent all at school and have nothing to come here. But $150 will keep them hard at work for 365 days, and they will do much good and be learning all the time. My wife and I are each going to take one, and I am going to see if I cannot get 200 others to do the same, and then it will not come heavy on any of us. I am thankful to tell you that I have not found our church in such a good condition in 14 years. God is using this society to stir up the city. They had the grandest summer that Chicago had seen for many years, and I am in hopes of keeping things moving. I shall want to start in with the workers in 1891, and if you can see your way clear to come in with us, I shall be glad. Under date of February 24th, 1890, he wrote to a friend relative to the work of the institution as follows. I am thankful to tell you that I have some splendid men and women in the field. My schoolwork will not tell much until the century closes, but when I am gone, I shall leave some grand men and women behind. I am thankful to tell you I am gaining all the time on the endowment. I hope you will give me the lever. If you cannot, do not cut me off from your list of beggars. Three special classes of students whose needs the Institute especially aims to meet may be briefly mentioned. Number 1, graduates of colleges or theological seminaries who wish to supply the valuable education received at these schools by a thorough study of the English Bible and methods of aggressive Christian work. Number 2, ministers, evangelists, returned missionaries, and other Christian workers who have had actual experience in the field and who wish to give some time to further study in preparation for larger usefulness. Number 3, men and women who do not intend to devote their entire time to gospel work, but who desire a larger acquaintancy with the Bible and methods of Christian effort, that while pursuing their secular callings, they may also work intelligently and successfully in winning others to Christ. A week before Mr. Moody's health broke down, he was pointedly asked, "Do you consider the Bible Institute a success? If you were starting over again, would you follow the same plan?" "Yes," he replied. "It has been a great success and a wonderful blessing. I would do the same again." The preceding winter, when he was in Colorado, he wrote, "It is cheering to come out here and find our boys doing so grandly. It pays for all we have done, and I feel as if I wanted to do far more in the future. It is a blessed thing to just put live men into the work, for they set others to work." In further testimony to the practical nature of his ideas as embodied in the Institute, it is only necessary to state that institutions on precisely similar lines have sprouted up in various places of the land. Toronto, Canada, and Glasgow, Scotland, send representatives to Chicago to study the institution, and now both cities have Bible institutes after Moody's model. He lived to see his ideas agitated among prominent educators. For more study of the English Bible and systematic practical instructions of the precise nature that Mr. Moody has given his students for the past 10 years are the two main reforms that President Charles Cuthbert Hall, President Harper, and others are seeking to bring about in theological seminaries.